Good morning. Okay, so yesterday we talked about how to buy healthier food and spend less money, or at least not spend as much money as people typically think healthy food costs. And one of the things that I mentioned was to stock up on stuff while it's on sale. So anything that you can keep for a while, whether it's canned goods, frozen stuff, pantry items that'll stay good for a while. If you can buy a bunch when it's on sale, then you always have it on hand. So today I wanted to give you guys some of the tips and things that I always have on hand so that no matter how much time you have or don't have, you can always throw together a super quick meal of real food. So you don't have to, go out to eat or go to a restaurant or do whatever. So, some things I always have on hand. Protein. Buying canned chicken, canned tuna, having that stuff on hand. You can always throw together a super quick chicken salad or tuna salad, or shredded chicken in a can be really good on salad. It can be really, really good to mix a can of chicken with a can of soup. And then, it seems like super duper, I don't know, cheap or whatever, but it's really good and it's super filling because you have a lot of protein with your canned soup. So canned chicken, canned meat is something I have on hand all the time. Cooking and freezing food beforehand. So if you were to buy like a big 3 or 5 pound bag of ground beef, you can go ahead and brown it all up and then stick it in the freezer in 2 cup increments. 2 cups of ground beef is about a pound. So then if that's already cooked, you can just thaw it out on the stove. You can add some taco seasoning. You can make spaghetti. You can make a super quick chili if you have canned beans. If you can cook that stuff up ahead of time and then just freeze it, you can pull it out even after you get home from work and you can have a pretty decent meal in 30 minutes or less. Always having eggs on hand, of course. People love to do breakfast for dinner and that type of thing, but eggs is super easy. It takes 5 minutes to put together, and you can get those frozen potatoes to have on hand. Get a bag of frozen peppers and onions, and you can do an omelet or a big old breakfast scramble. Or if you have some tortillas, you can do a nice egg breakfast burrito with some eggs and peppers and onions and potatoes. And if you bought a bunch of sausage, or if you have a bunch of frozen pork or something, you can just kind of brown some of that up and add sausage, and there's some more meat to there. So super good, lots of easy ways to do breakfast for dinner. And then having dairy on hand also. So yogurt, different cheeses and stuff, good source of protein. And they stay good for a while. Eggs and real dairy, the yogurt and the cheese and stuff, it stays good for quite a while, so it's good to have on hand. And then talking about, a base or the filler stuff. So rice and beans are always good to have in your pantry. If you don't have a rice cooker, or you don't like spending forever cooking rice, it takes 30 minutes or something, you can always get the minute rice. So it's rice that's already partially cooked and it comes in a bag, so you just stick it in the stove in 10 minutes, it's cooked. Adding that to any meal makes it go a lot further. You can add that. I like to add rice to soup too. Adding rice and some chicken to a can of soup makes a super filling meal. Having canned beans on hand, of course. I've started adding beans to my salads. It's really good. It makes it kind of Mexican-y. Stick some salsa in there and some olives, and you basically have a taco salad, but with more protein because you have beans. Pasta. So there's lots of different types of pasta out there. If you don't want to do wheat, there's rice pasta that tastes exactly the same. I even like to do the chickpea pasta and the red lentil pasta. It takes a little bit longer to cook, but I can cook up a whole box and then use it in different ways throughout the week. So I might get some, so Aldi has some really, really delicious pesto. So I have pesto on hand. I always have some type of marinara or spaghetti sauce on hand. You can even do Alfredo sauce and have that on hand. Alfredo and a can of chicken and some noodles makes a super delicious meal. But yeah, noodles, lots of different varieties. If you do get the chickpea or the red lentil, then you have some pretty good protein in there also and some good fiber. And those again makes just a super duper quick meal. Having bread. Okay, so there's lots of different kinds of bread out there, and I don't eat it a lot, but I do freeze it, and it freezes really well. So then if I have a can of chicken and I make some chicken salad, I can pull a piece of bread out of the freezer and just stick it in the toaster oven and warm it up. And then I have chicken salad that I made in 5 minutes and a piece of bread and maybe an apple or something. And there's a super quick lunch. Or if there's certain crackers or chips out there that you like, so chips and salsa is like a staple in this house, and I could do tuna salad or chicken salad or egg salad with some chips or some crackers. You can do cheese and crackers. I know it's not much of a meal, but sometimes things like that are at least enough to get you through so that you can make a meal and you're not super starving and you don't go to the drive-thru. And then produce. So having canned and frozen produce, fruits and veggies on hand all the time is, again, something I always have because you can always throw something together. So one thing I like to do is get a little cup of either the peaches or mangoes that are in fruit juice, and I do a cup of that and then an equal amount of yogurt or cottage cheese, and then add some nuts to that, some nuts or chia seeds. Super filling. Again, if it's not enough for a whole meal, at least it can get you by. Or then you can, have a smaller bowl of, some pasta and sauce or something. But yogurt and fruit, always a good staple, no matter what time of day it is. Frozen vegetables are a huge lifesaver. So like I mentioned earlier, the frozen peppers and onions. You can do frozen broccoli, frozen cauliflower, frozen carrots, there's so many different types of medleys out there of frozen veggies. And one thing that is super easy and super versatile is to have various types of frozen vegetables, and then you have your already browned frozen beef or chicken or ground turkey or whatever you want to do, and just make up a quick stir fry. So if you go to the Asian section of your grocery store, there's tons of different types of stir fry sauces. There's really good, Aldi again. Aldi has an amazing teriyaki sauce that I really love. And then at Kroger, there's also some really good teriyakis and like orange chicken, and definitely look at the ingredients because you might be filled with corn syrup, but getting different sauces. So if you have soy sauce or coconut aminos or different stir fry sauces, or what else is good that I use? And sometimes you just do a different combination of them. But if you have a sauce and you have a vegetable and any type of protein, you can always throw together a super quick stir fry. And then if you're wanting fresh produce, when you go shopping, if you use up the stuff that will go bad quicker, then say if you want to go to the grocery once a week, if you buy potatoes or carrots or other squash or any root vegetables that typically stay good for quite a while, if you plan to use those towards the end of the week, then they'll still definitely be good, but then you won't have to throw out as much because the stuff that goes bad quicker you've already used up in the beginning of the week. But always having, I always have potatoes on hand. You cannot go wrong with a last minute baked potato. Let's see, what else do I do? Potatoes, varied pastas, rice, chicken, and veggies. That's real food. I always have to have that stuff on hand. And I've gotten really, really good at learning to cook in the microwave. So I know that's not ideal. I know that's not what you want to do all the time. But sometimes when you're in a rush or when you don't have the brain power to cook a real meal, real food in the microwave is still better than fast food. So I will use some of my awesome Pampered Chef products that I have, and I can cook rice in the microwave super quickly. I can do baked potatoes. Again, I can just, throw together some protein, some vegetables, and a sauce or a seasoning. McCormick. Okay, so the best chicken salad I've ever made is 3 ingredients. It's a can of chicken, it's mayonnaise, and it is the blue Mrs. Dash garlic and herb seasoning. And then a staple that I do for my pasta is I heat it up, butter, and the McCormick Montreal chicken seasoning is delicious. So those are my 2 staples. I put those 2 seasonings on everything. It's so good. So produce, always having a fruit or veggie, canned, frozen, or buying those root vegetables and planning to use them later in the week, or at least planning to have them on hand, because potatoes are good for weeks at a time as long as you store them properly. And then all the extras. So always having some sort of condiments, like I was saying, different sauces, different seasonings, because you can eat the same food like 4 days in a row. You put different sauces or you put different seasonings on it, and you don't get bored, and it doesn't taste like the same food, which means you don't get tired of eating it. The other thing that you can do is when you do have time to cook a meal, you plan to make extra so that you can either eat the leftovers later or you can freeze it as a meal and then eat it, pull it out of the freezer, and heat it up for a day that you don't have much time. So I could probably talk for a whole hour on the ways that I have learned to make super quick meals super duper easily. But those are my big things, is to have some staples on hand all the time. So think of what you like to eat, think of the type of the meals you eat most often, and kind of just have a plan. You know, if you go to the grocery store and you buy a bunch of roasts because they're on sale, you can cook that roast in the morning and you can shred it up and do barbecue beef. You can shred it up and do tacos. You can shred it up and do beef and noodles. You can use that roast for multiple meals that all feel very, very differently, instead of just eating the same thing all the time. So that's my little tidbit on that. Again, if you guys feel like you want to learn how to make real food in a microwave, even though it's, again, you know, not something you should probably do all the time, but it's better than nothing, and it's a really good way to learn how to be resourceful. So if you're interested in learning how to cook in the microwave, stick microwave in the chat and I will tell you everything I do. Because I take food on vacation and I cook real meals in the microwave in the hotel room because I don't like hotel breakfasts. So if you want to learn about that type of stuff, stick microwave in the comments and I will teach you guys what I do. And really, I mean, just don't overcomplicate it. Food does not have to be fancy or expensive or overly complicated to be good and to do its job. So seasoning, sauces, make anything taste delicious. Okay, so tomorrow, now that you guys know a little bit more how to buy stuff, how to stock up, I'm going to teach you guys some tricks that I have learned to make sure that you don't buy food and then have it go bad. So all the different things and techniques that I have learned so that you can actually use your hard-earned food and you don't have to throw it away. So hope this was helpful. If you guys thought it was helpful, click share and hopefully it'll help somebody else. So I will talk to you guys tomorrow.